Hi guys, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalist. In this case we're going to be talking about and actually showing how you're supposed to take care and sharpen your knives. Alright, what you see here in the table are a few simple implements that you can find in any supermarket. I bought these just a few days ago in Tesco and it's not looking very manly right now, but it's something that I say often and I repeat it in the blog as well. It's not how many toys you have or how many tools and gear you have, but it's actually your skill and your knowledge what matters the most. Now, having said that, you cannot improvise certain things. For example, if you want a perfectly nice razor sharp edge, you will need certain tools. Now, with the right knowledge, you can improvise those tools. With the right knowledge, you don't need to buy the latest, coolest $50 or $100 sharpening system, but since you know what you're supposed to be doing, you can improvise that with commonly available products. These are ordinary nail polishing boards. Let's see, we'll take advantage of, well, now being in English and we have the name as it is. Let's change that setup there. Three-way nail buffer. Alright, and here we have, what is it, smooth and shaped, again from Tesco. Both of these, this is Tesco value, which is usually cheaper, and this is a beauty gallery. It's like a keychain foam, I suppose. You would be sharpening and buffing the polishing your nails. Guys, you're supposed to have enough testosterone for of all that shooting and tactical training and crap. You should be okay with all this, okay? So don't be shy and don't be self-conscious about buying these things. I'm sure not, so you shouldn't be either. Right, now what you're looking for, in case I'm not getting it through with the camera, you want something that the grit should be of different degrees. Usually in some cases you find it actually displayed here. These I've already opened. Now you see that they have these numbers like 1, 2, 3, or step one shape, 2, 3. Well, this is basically the different grit it has. I suppose it goes from 300 or 200 and something to 600, I suppose. And basically that's it. What you want to be doing when sharpening a knife is start with the more coarse grip you have, and then move forward until you get the smoothest one. You're not going to be doing your nails, you're going to be polishing and sharpening a blade. So first one being shape, it's taking the most out of it. And for a knife, for the purpose of demonstrations, I have here an oldie cold steel Voyager. You're going to be starting with this one and being very careful about it, sliding it. You have to slide it in the opposite direction of the edge because these things are pretty delicate. They're not supposed to be used for this. They are for nails, but they've served this purpose well enough. I've used it for years, something like this or similar. It's a soft board, has like a rubbery foam board, and when you press it you feel it give a bit, and that's actually good because it adapts a bit of the curvature to, it gives that concave edge exactly where you want it. So it's helping a lot. And if you're using stones, if you're not very proficient with it, they're not as nearly as forgiving as the soft foam. Sometimes I've seen it, and there's several YouTube videos on that. The combination of the mouse pad for the computer mouse in combination with some sandpaper, it also works okay. And this is basically already produced and smaller version of that same principle. Alright, how good is it for sharpening? It's actually very good. If you have a blade that needs a lot of work because you've been using it a lot and needs to be sharpened completely, you will probably start with this sort of grit. It's more shiny, it's larger particles. preferably against a flat surface. You start working. I'm gonna be moving the camera a little bit there so show it better, and hopefully in a table that you're not worried about ruining or anything. Start working your way like this. The trick here is keeping the same angle. This is a bit more complicated for me because I'm doing it with a camera in between my hands and at the same time looking through the camera, see if I'm getting it right. Basically you get it. The trick here is keeping the same angle all the time. And you will notice that, because if you don't, you'll soon start messing up the blade and you'll see a difference. Let me give you a closer look of this. This little helper here. Right. This shiny edge you see here, it's gonna be different on either side. And the better you get at it, the more similar it will be. After several years of doing it, you will be getting quite good at it and having extremely good results. Now, the more you practice, the better. I suppose some people, as in everything else, some people are better at it, some people are just have more dexterity, some will need more time, but sharpening knives is not the easiest thing to do, so that's why there's lots of gimmicks and gadgets so as to simplify the process a bit. I haven't had that great a result with any of them, with any of those gadgets you often see sold. For me, it's basically, it comes down to using a good stone, a good set of stones of different grits, and lots of patience. And this trick that I'm showing you right now, the nail polish pads, is one of the things that has been working for me the best. So that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. I've made before sharpening videos. It's actually one of the first videos I've made. So if you want to check those out as well, do so. As you keep moving on, you will start using something that has more of a polish finish. These ones would be okay. Well, starting with the one as we see here. It's basically about having lots of patience and enough time. The smaller pads like this one, these are nice for a kit because it's very light, and you can just throw it in a backpack or a small kit and just forget about it until you need to sharpen a knife once again. It's not going to be doing any miracles, especially not fast, but it will sharpen a knife that has been used and needs to be buffed a little bit. If we take, for example, this fellow I have here, this axe that I bought online recently and has been very mangled and abused by a previous owner, you see that there's all these shiny spots. Let me show that better. You see that, folks? That shiny, like micro teeth. That's because of poor sharpening. That's because someone that didn't know what he was doing just got hold of this axe, got a grinder and just let it rip. Disastrous. But it can be fixed. It can be fixed even with manual tools, with a good file, a diamond file later, and a bit of patience. You can work this axe into proper working order once again. But this would be a good example. See that, guys? That's awful. I can actually feel the texture of all those little mangled teeth made by probably a grinder, maybe a one of those cheapo Chinese wheels that have awfully thick grit and just eat through the steel, destroying a knife or an axe in this case. See that, guys? Awful job. But I like it that I got it like for a spell I got it for a song on eBay, bought it locally, and it's a tool that it can be brought back to a proper working order. But getting back to our sharpening thing, this knife has already been sharpened a bit, so it's not going to be requiring much. Now, even if you don't use the knife a lot, just think of your everyday carry knife, whatever it is you guys are carrying every day and you're using, and you want to be keeping it razor sharp as it came from the factory. You know, sometimes people say that they got it razor sharp from the factory, they use it up a bit, and they have no idea of how getting it back to that nice razor sharp edge. This is how you do it. You go to the store, you buy one of these smooth, it wasn't this one, it was this one, the nail buffer. Actually, the buffer is what you use for the finest level of sharpening, for that razor edge. That's what you're going to be using for a knife that you haven't abused but just want to be getting back to that razor sharp edge, right? The nail buffer, which is almost completely plain, has almost no grit to it. This one is more gritty, right? The nail buffer, the foam pad like this one is what you're going to be using to keeping that knife back to razor sharp edge. And again, even for for smaller knives like the Victorinox ones, I have it actually right here, mine, the Mini Champ, which I always talk about because I love it. You use this knife. I use this knife pretty often, and I've been using it for some time now, using it quite a bit. You see a bit of dirt in there. All I need to do is just sit for a few minutes, a little bit of patience, and doing this will bring back that nice razor sharp edge. Starting with one, you'll need to put a few minutes into each one, and just testing it, you'll get the feel of it, how much pressure you apply yourself. Don't go too hard on it, just a little bit of pressure, it's gonna be enough. And again, patience mostly, guys. It's not about hurrying, it's not a race. The smoothest one is the one that's going to be bringing that nice razor sharp edge. Even on blades you buy, Spyderco and cold steel knives, which are already very sharp out of the box, even those with this smooth buffering surface, the buffer board like this one, even on those knives, if you get it just out of the box and you put a few minutes into it, you will get an even better edge. It's even sharper, because what you are basically doing here is polish that edge. Show that in a little bit of paper. If you look at it, suppose you are looking at this section, of a knife, right? What you basically have is, if you look at it with a microscope, you have this. This would be as good as it gets in terms of a knife. Now, what you're basically doing is straightening these two sides as much as possible. You're going from maybe something like, and this is just an estimation, but just for you guys to have a good idea, maybe you have this sort of an edge, and after a bit of buffering, you end up with something like this, right? It doesn't seem like much of an improvement on a microscopic level, but you actually see it when you feel that nice razor sharp edge. So going back to the cold steel, we just buffer it a bit on both sides. Now guys, one more recommendation for your everyday carry knife, whatever it is you're using on a daily basis. If you remember to do this maybe once a week or so, depending on how much you use it, if you remember buffing it a bit after a few times of use, you will always keep that nice razor sharp edge, and it's not gonna be getting so bad that you will be having to put some more time into it. If you do this often, the better you take care of your tool, the less problem it's going to be causing you, and the less time it's going to be needing later to go back to the desired edge. Right? Not bad at all. Still some more time needed. I just didn't do much right now, I just saw it. But it's still cutting paper nicely, and it's okay. It's a very nice. Still shaves hair off my arm rather easily. So folks, just remember that whenever you're in a supermarket buying one of these smooth and buffer boards that you find in the section for nail stuff for ladies, just get a couple of those and try it out. You'll see that the results are very satisfactory. So guys, take care and see you on our next video. Bye bye.